In this tutorial, we're going to walk through how to set up a custom domain for FusionAuth using AWS CloudFront. First, we have to talk about the setup. There's a couple things that we'll assume or will need to be in place. And one is that you have an instance of FusionAuth up and running. This could be a cloud-hosted instance or an instance you have on your own hardware that is public-facing. In this case, for this tutorial, codegremlins.fusionauth.io is a hosted instance of FusionAuth. We're going to also assume that you own your own domain. Again, for this tutorial, we're talking about codegremlins.net, and it's going to be hosted by GoDaddy. Your domain doesn't have to be hosted by GoDaddy for this to work. There's many other providers out there. We're just using it for this tutorial. And the desired outcome here is to have the URL https login.codegremlins.net point to your instance of FusionAuth. The first thing I'm going to have to do is sign into my Amazon console. Once I do that, I can go ahead and get an SSL certificate for my site. So what I need to do is click on the Certificate Manager and request a new certificate. I'm going to request a public certificate. I want to enter the fully qualified domain name, so that's going to be login.codegremlins.net. And I'm going to request a certificate. So you can see here that the status is pending validation. And in order for this to work, I have to do the validation. So as you can see, once I request it, I have the status of pending validation. So what we need to do is tell AWS that we own this domain. To prove that we own the domain name, AWS is going to ask us to create a CNAME DNS entry. We're going to have to put a certain value that they provide into this DNS entry to prove that we own the domain. In order to complete this task, I'm going to have to go over to GoDaddy and make some domain entries. So you see here's my domain hosting for codegremlins.net. And I'm going to have to add a new record. So it's going to be of CNAME type. I'm going to enter the CNAME value from AWS. Now you'll notice here that AWS provided the domain name as well. For some reason with GoDaddy, you don't need that, or it doesn't work if you use it. So you just use the number and the subdomain login. And then I need to provide the CNAME value. And then we're going to go ahead and save that. It's going to update the DNS records for me. And now if I scroll down here, you'll see my entry. Now, if things go well, I should be able to bounce back over to my certificate and keep an eye on this status pending. It can take a while for this to go through, sometimes up to an hour. Let's refresh the page and see if we get lucky. We didn't. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is take a little break and come back and see if it gets validated later. If we go ahead and refresh the page, we should now see that the status has changed to issued. Now, as I said before, right, this could take anywhere from a couple minutes to potentially 48 hours to propagate globally. Now that the verification has taken place, we need to set up our instance of CloudFront. So in the search bar, I'm going to search for CloudFront. And I'm going to try to create a new distribution. I'm going to put in my origin name, which in this case is codegremlins.fusionauth.io. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down and have to make a selection for our web application firewall. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and enable security precautions. Then I'll continue to scroll down and I'm going to create the distribution. One thing we'll want to make note of here is our distribution domain name. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that and save it for later. And then I'm going to go into my settings and edit them. The first thing I need to do is set up the alternate domain name. So I'm going to go ahead and add the item and add login.codegremlins.net. I'm going to need to select the SSL certificate that I created earlier for login.codegremlins.net. And then I need to scroll down and save the changes. A small side note here. You may see that this last modified shows deploying. What you want to do is go ahead and refresh the page. And now you can see that it has recently been deployed. So if you're trying to test and the modified says deploying, it's not going to be with your latest changes. Now we have to make some changes to allow the proper headers. So what we need to do is click on behaviors. We're going to choose default, and we're going to edit the default behavior for this. We need to scroll down to cache key and origin requests. Then we need to change the cache policy. So we're going to disable caching, and then we need to change the origin request policy to all viewer except hosts. After we've made those changes, we're going to go ahead and save. Now we need to update the origin request policy for the rest of the types. If you know of a better way of doing this all at once, please let me know. For now, I got to do it one by one. So hopefully I'll kind of take that through you pretty quickly here. Okay, now we have all the origin request policy updated. Remember a little while ago when I told you needed to remember the domain distribution name? We're going to go ahead and need it now as we jump over to our DNS hosting platform, in this case, again, GoDaddy. And I'm going to need to add a new DNS record. So it's going to be of type CNAME. And for the name itself is going to be login. And the value is going to be the distribution domain name that we had from earlier. I'm going to go ahead and save that. We'll get a confirmation that says, hey, that was successful. Next, assuming everything is configured correctly, we can go ahead and open a new tab in our new domain, login.codegremlins.net. We're going to want to log into the admin portion, and we now have access to our FusionAuth instance. So this concludes the tutorial. Hope things work out well for you.